Hi everyone, hope you're all doing well. I'm sorry I haven't been posting a lot of cooking stuff recently. So I thought to set things off to a good start, I'm going to multitask and prepare two things for you today. One of them is with green beans, fresh green beans, tomatoes, onions, some garlic, chili pepper, and some delicious spices here. I'll go through that later. And then I'm gonna cook some spelt. No, not spelt like in spelt letters, but spelt. This is one of the world's most oldest grains you can find. It's very delicious. It's not used quite a lot, or not as popular as rice and wheat, but it's very delicious. And here in Armenia, it's grown quite a bit. So I'm going to teach you how to make some like a pilaf with that, with spelt and mushrooms. So to start off, I'm going to get my pot. I've drizzled a little bit of olive oil. I'm going to heat this up a little bit, and in my other pot I'm going to make the spelt. So I'll put that to heat up. There you go. And I'm going to start off with my onions, which I've chopped up already, and I'm going to add the garlic and some chili pepper. You're going to think that's a lot of chili pepper, but it's not that bad. So you can add more or less, however you choose. So when my oil is slightly heated up, I'm going to add that to it. Give it a bit of a twirl like this. I'm also, while the onions are cooking, I'm going to add some turmeric. It's very good for you, turmeric. It's good for the nervous system. Like a relaxing kind of thing. So I'm going to put that in there. And give it a bit of a stir. Gives it a nice sort of like a dark yellowy colour. And this unusual smell. Now in my other pot, which I have the oil in, heated up, I'm going to add chopped up onions. Let's put that there. You can hear it sizzle. And that's going to be for the spelt. Okay, in the meantime, I'll go through what I've done here. I've taken my green beans, give them a little clean and chop them up, sort of like about 1.5 inches, 2 inches. My tomatoes, I've skinned and chopped. And for the spelt, I've taken the mushrooms, washed them and chopped them up. So let's see how that's doing. You don't want to burn the onions, but you don't want either to make them go very, very soggy. Now, my onions are cooking very well, and I can smell the turmeric in there, and the chili peppers. Green beans. This is very much used in Armenia. They grow. Everyone seems to grow these in the garden. They cook them with usually I think it's with eggs or herbs. But I'm going to make this into a green bean curry today. And this is why I have a curry powder and my red pepper here. And to it, we're also now, I am going to add to the onions a little bit of red pepper paste. You can either, some people make this at home, but I buy this from a shop. There's a lot of Syrian Armenians now in Armenia who have moved here and have made this their home. Some of them have started up little businesses where they are making all the spices that many of us Western Armenians who have been living here are so accustomed to using. And one of them is red pepper paste. So if you happen to be in Yerevan and you find a Syrian Armenian store, I would suggest you go and get some of this. It's nice. You can even put this on toast. Spread some on your toast or your bread and put some cheese on it. Makes excellent cheese on toast with pepper paste sauce for my spelt. Great. So that I am now going to add my mushrooms. Yeah, I know it's a bit of a juggling around today in the kitchen, but it's okay. Try and keep up. So give that a little bit of a toss like this. And that's how it should look. And return that to the heat. Let it sort of like cook slowly. Turn this down. Now. Oh wow. This smells great. So if you're wondering what it looks like, there, if you can see that, that's how it should look. Now, once this onion now is slightly soft and the pepper paste, make sure it's nicely mixed in, but don't worry, because when we add a little bit of water afterwards, it will, and the tomatoes, it will melt and just spread around really well. So now I'm going to add my green beans. There you go. Give that a nice, wow, the colours. Amazing. There you go. That's it. Now I'm going to put this back on the heat. And for my spelt, I've made some beef broth, beef and vegetable broth. I use bouillons. Usually when I have stock in the freezer, fresh stock, I use that, but this time, unfortunately, I don't have. So it just has to be a bit of this. I am going to add some tomato puree to this now. A couple of teaspoons should be enough. Give that a little stir in there, and then put it back on the heat. You don't want to overcook your green beans. I mean, I like it to be slightly sort of like crunchy, so that, you know, you can still taste the vegetables. You can get that crunchy, textured feeling in your mouth, rather than it being limp and sort of like eating like candy floss, I suppose. Okay, so looks like we're all organized. Checking everything we need is here. I mean, recently I've been thinking about my grandmother a lot as well, and how she used to cook every day she used to make something. And it kind of sort of like reminded me of my childhood when she used to be in the kitchen and she used to call me in the kitchen and we used to cook things together, and you could see the love that she used to put in her food. And I see this a lot in Armenia as well, in some of the houses you go to where people literally cook things from scratch and they use fresh produce, local produce. And that's one of the reasons I try to keep things local, because Armenia has so many delicious fruits, vegetables, even the meat's delicious here. And despite what others think, I think also dairy products are fantastic. So now, as you can see, this mushroom now has reduced, and I'm going to cook it for a few more minutes, and then I'm going to add my spelt to it. So that's there. It's a bit of a juggle from one pot to another, it's like doing a little bit of a tango in the kitchen, I call it. Now, oh wow, that's looking good. Let's add the spelt, because, oh, yep, that's one of the things you need to be careful. Do not rush. When you rush, things get spelt, but it's okay. Now, let's put that, give that a little stir, like so. And I'm going to put this back on the heat. There you go. That's how it looks. This, the beans. Get your tomatoes, add them to your beans. Got some salt, about a teaspoon of salt, teaspoon of curry powder, and some red pepper. Salt, you need salt with this. If you don't want to use too much salt, don't put a lot of salt in there. We need some black pepper, freshly milled black pepper. You can use powdered pepper if you want, ready from the stores, but I like milling it. It gives it an extra kind of flavour to it. And get peppery. There you go. Now, give it a nice little roll like this. Make sure you don't get it all over the place, which is very common for me to do that. But it's okay. If you make a mess, you can clean it up. Just that way. We've got all spelt on the floor right now. It doesn't matter. You can clean it up. There's no need to panic. Life is full of panics these days. Everyone is panicking about everything. Everyone doesn't like things. This is how it looks, by the way. People don't like this, people don't like that. There's hate here, there's hate there, misunderstandings. Life, people, is too short. We need to learn to love each other. We need to respect one another. And we need to preach tolerance. I mean, there's so much happening in the world right now, from the unfortunate and cowardly bombings in Manchester, in Kabul, all those people, the continuous war in Syria. There's just too much hate and there's just too much sadness. So I come in the kitchen, I come and I cook and I create and I get my mind off things. And although I don't dismiss the facts of all the things that are happening, I sometimes, like everyone, we all need a little break. And I think we all need to give each other a break too. And we need to understand each other a lot more. And preach love. Not just love for cooking, but love for one another. And I just one day want to wake up And all these unfortunate things have gone away. Now, back to my spelt pilaf. There you go. How does that look? In this, I'm going to add some salt and some cinnamon. Yes, cinnamon. Don't like cinnamon? Don't put it in. But I find it gives it sort of like a nice nutty kind of flavour. And in fact, it enhances the flavour of spelt. Wow. Now, to that, I'm going to add my bouillon. I've used, it's the same kind of principle as making rice. And for 1 cup of rice, you use 1.5 cups of water. So it's the same thing here. I've used 1 cup of spelt, no, 1.5 cups of spelt. So I'm going to be using more or less 3 cups of water. Just add your bouillon in it, melt it, and then just add it to your spelt like this. Okay? Give it a little bit of a stir. Make sure everything is nicely mixed. And return it back to the heat. And bring it to the boil. Now, my green beans. I usually add some water to this. I can use the same, just a tiny bit of water, because the actual vegetables and the tomato, which I've put in here, is going to produce water as well. Now that is smelling pretty good. And if you're wondering what it looks like, there you go. Some people add potato to this, but because I'm having starchy complement to it, I'm going to opt not to. So get your lid, cover it, put it over a gentle heat, and let it cook. And the same with the spelt. But with that, I would suggest you cover the lid with a cloth, like so, and put it like this over your spelt and slowly let it cook. It will boil gently, and the water will start being absorbed by the spelt, and then you'll end up with your pilaf. So that will take around about probably about 40 minutes to half an hour to 40 minutes for the spelt, and the vegetables, the curry, will take another probably 40 minutes. So about 20 minutes has gone by, no, 20 minutes, half an hour. And I'm going to check on my green beans, and that actually looks pretty much ready. So I'm going to turn that off, and that's actually cooked and ready to be served. Now the pilaf, I'm going to have a look at that. There you go. That's about half an hour. It's been cooking for about half an hour. It's more or less ready. Can do with another 10 minutes. So let's leave that to cook for another 10 minutes. So about 40 minutes is enough. And for the actual beans, correction from earlier on, about 20 minutes to half an hour until it's actually ready to be served. So, and in the meantime, you can always check to see if you need to put more spices or some seasoning and so on. So, thank you for watching. Please subscribe and tell your friends about the channel. Get them to like it as well, and subscribe, and so that you can get more updates. Thank you very much and have a good day. Bye.